Well, Dave, there's talk in Australia of banning social media for specific age groups. Will that be a threat to your Snapchat account?
Well, two reasons why it might not be a threat for me. First is
Age.
I'm not under 16, although these lovely youthful looks, moisturizer and clean living, Steve, can't speak for you. The second reason is I don't have Snapchat, but a whole bunch of under 16s in Australia do, and the Australian government, they're not the only one. The British government is talking about this as well. They're proposing a social media ban for under 16s, and I'm going to say something a bit controversial.
Look, Jonathan Haidt's written the book The Anxious Generation, and a lot of that is a US psychologist, works at New York University, and he's talking about the fact that you can track the anxiety levels in our current younger generations to the uptick in social media from 2011. Is it causation, correlation? Is it what's going on? Is it social media that is causing the deep anxiety, or is it just reflecting it?
Maybe a bit of both, or feeding on it and cycling it. But yeah, Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation, I remember a conversation on Twitter, of all places, I'm still allowed to talk at the moment, last week, where a fellow conservative here in Australia saying, I don't get how any conservatives could support this social media ban for under 16s. And my reply was, actually, no, Haidt's The Anxious Generation has persuaded a whole bunch of us. Let me make my case. I think he shows you very clearly a very clear correlation where you go, no, there is something obviously going on here. It's taking vulnerable young people, and social media is making them constantly compare themselves to others, which is not a helpful thing to have happened. And it's also fed into the social contagion thing, which we now recognize around a lot of sort of the trans and alternate sexuality ideology stuff as well. And so here's the thing: why then would we not ban something that clearly has been demonstrated to cause harm? And ban it for minors who are not yet capable. We have a common assessment in law, except for a couple of things where they are. We'll talk about that in a minute, or should they be, not capable of making decisions for themselves, because we do it in other areas. We don't let under 16 smoke cigarettes, buy cigarettes and smoke it. We don't let them take alcohol and so on. We don't let them, go in the army and all those kinds of things. So I think I want to go to fellow conservatives. I'm a conservative, shock horror. Actually, if you are consistent, you wouldn't have an issue here. The freedom is a thing we all want to defend, but is it possible? I don't think I'm 100% persuaded, but I just want to go.
Well, can I break it down a little bit?
Let's do it.
Okay. We're banning alcohol for under 16s.
Yeah.
Right? Or under 18s, really.
Sure.
Because drinking alcohol for a young person, there's never going to be a good outcome of that.
No, it messes with the brain.
But that's not true necessarily of social media, is it? There can be good things. People can connect with each other. What social media platforms are we talking about? Are we talking WhatsApp? Are we talking...
well, look, and the devil, again, is going to be in the details.
Exactly.
So I'm one of those guys who I'm happy to talk about the principle. And I think on the principle I want to go, I'm not automatically opposed to the principle. My guess is it's unworkable anyway.
Yeah, it's like the BBC whenever it banned a song that was a bit racist.
Yes.
It went to number one, right?
That's right.
Because everyone would buy it.
That's right.
So how do you get it? So there's going to be a black market on social media at some level.
But there is anyway, right? Because technically,
your parent could sign you
child
up.
under 13 is on Facebook?
Yeah.
Answer, so many of them.
Well, no, they're not. They're not on Facebook. That's oldies like us.
Okay.
Younger people are on other media platforms.
Well, I show my age. Age. Yeah.
So, but isn't it just another attack on our freedoms?
Look, Steve, I want to go. Yes, maybe, but only in the sense that not letting my under 18 buy alcohol is an attack on their freedom.
Yeah.
It's actually we want to be grown-ups, and we've just spent most of this episode talking about what it means to actually be adults and be prepared to actually have people say things that we don't agree with, and all that sort of stuff. But the notion of being an adult also assumes childhood.
Yeah, and that part of the issue I would say is, if you want to ban social media for under 16s, I'm fine with that. As long as we ban things like gender transitioning.
Totally, be consistent.
So, and for me, part of the issue would be the neural pathways in a child's mind are not laid down fully.
Yeah.
There's lots of brain change happening in a way that you know what it's like to be addicted to social media even as an adult.
Sure.
And that feels like you're much more resistant to that.
Yeah.
But for a young person, it's doom scroll, doom scroll, doom scroll.
Yeah, it is. So that is me in this torn position. So I'm a natural defender of freedom, but I also kind of go, in principle, I can see why it might work. But again, as I said before, the devil will be in the details, and the devil usually isn't the people that set the details.
Yes. Part of the issue, I think, is for parents. They are distracted, and so they're very happy for their kids to be on social media all the time because it keeps them away from them.
So that's a bigger issue, isn't it? Actually,
yeah.
How do I help my parent? How do I help my parents recapture their sense of what it means to be a parent? Because that's actually what the issue is here.
Yeah,
it's we do parenting stuff at church, and I say to some guys, they go, "What do I do with my kid? They're on the computer, whatever." I just go,
you
could
parent.
say no,
yeah,
and you could take it away.
But that's a deficit issue, and then you could actually spend time with them instead of being so distracted yourself.
Yeah.
Part of our issue is that.
Yeah,
I think,
right.
And we're afraid. We're not only afraid of our kids being bored, we're afraid of being bored. Or we take our child to the park and they're on the swing and we're sitting on an iPad. We're actually training them ourselves. So that's what the important thing is.
That's right. Now, let me try and pull it all together, Steve, because we're talking about information, who owns it, who controls it, how do I get access to it? End of the day, we might care whether Trump or Harris get elected, and we might have a preference on that, but it's not as important as the big thing in life, which is that people hear about the Lord Jesus Christ. How do you think these questions of information and sharing information and controlling information, how do they feed into the church and its ability to talk about Jesus?
Well, a couple of things. I actually think that social media can do that well. And so people what I've noticed, speaking to people, that they will, if someone's interested in Christianity, but they wouldn't come to a church, they're far more likely to have spent a long time looking at social media issues about Christianity before they get to church. Now, that's going to, they're going to have to filter through a lot of stuff, but it's a good gateway. It also means that if you do social media well, and I spoke at a conference for a young woman who runs a social media project, I was like, wow, that's amazing. She said, we grew up, we're digital natives. We can use it well. And I think it ultimately redeemable at one level.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Oh, so we need to be in that space.
Yeah, and I think of someone like Jackie Hill Perry, whose social media presence is fantastic and has a lot of cut through.
Yeah.
And maybe when Tim Keller died, I said to my daughter, who's on the next platform? She said it might be a different kind of platform. And I thought, it could be a social media platform that has more cut through for the next generation than a platform and a stage in a building.
That's right, because I'm assuming increasingly they're not going to go to conferences, not going to go come and hear this speaker.
No.
But here's a link.
Yes, exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got to be in those spaces and thinking about them.
Yeah, and the other thing too is how centralized will the disseminations become? Because that's exactly our problem with the legacy media. Because believe it or not, in 50 years' time, the way we're looking at the frontier media now, they will be the legacy media.
That's right.
The Joe Rogan thing will be a point in history where you go, here's where the new legacy media began. That time that Trump had 50 million views on Joe Rogan's show and Kamala Harris refused to come on unless she set the agenda. That was the start of the new legacy.
This pivot moment.
Exactly.
So maybe
something new will come up.
And look for it and expect it. Don't fight it. Get on it. Surf that way.
And Christians can be wise in what you watch and how you watch it.
Yeah.
And we can also use it well to bring the gospel into places that it hasn't been able to go.
And can I flick it as well and just go, there is a negative to this, which is just be very careful about what you agree to ban.
Yes.
Because they'll ban you as well.
Eventually we'll come around. The revolution will always put you up against the wall. A great movie to watch on that is Burnt by the Sun. Great Russian movie where a great hero of the Soviet, the revolution finds himself on the opposite side of the ledger. And just the discombobulation of, but I was on your side. Now you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
But we're still playing the game by the same rules.
Yes.
It's just we moved the pitch.
And that's exactly what will happen. The revolution will always eat its young. And social media bans, while they will do some good, you will find that depending who's in power, will determine what and what is not banned.
Right. And that's very important because the most important thing we want to be speaking about is not which political party won, but how good Jesus is.
And Jesus is king. And it wasn't a vote.
That's right.